Mm. Welcome, everyone. Give it a minute, I think. Okay, I think I'll get started. So thanks for coming, everyone, and welcome to the second RCOT Equity, Diversity, and Belonging Insight session this year. This evening, we'll be discussing how to make occupational therapy more disability inclusive. I'm Christina Fuentes-Tibbet, and I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to chair this event. As RCOT's Communities Manager, I'm committed to ensuring that we create and support inclusive and accessible member communities. I'm joined this evening by my RCOT colleagues, Jen Smythe, Ketan Devi, Savanya China, and Carolyn Hay. So let me set the scene a bit. The latest data show that we have 3,230 new occupational therapy learners this year. 80% provided data in relation to disability, and of those, 29% have declared a disability. This is higher than the figure for the UK population, which is estimated to be 24%. Supporting our learners and newly registered OTs through creating inclusive environments is everyone's responsibility. This will be the focus of this evening's presentation by our fabulous speaker, Georgia Vine. Before I hand over to Georgia, some quick housekeeping. We have a live transcript available. If you want to see captions during the session, please click live transcript on your Zoom controls and then select show subtitles. This event is also being recorded, as you probably heard, and it will be available on the RCOT website. However, we'll stop recording at the end of Georgia's presentation. We'll then have a closed question and answer session. So please put any questions you have or comments you'd like to share in the chat bar, and we'll get to as many of these as we can. We also invite you to please share your good practice examples in the chat. So that's everything from me for now. So I'm going to hand over to Georgia.
Thank you for that introduction, Christina, and for doing the housekeeping. Hi everyone, my name is Georgia Vine. I am a graduate teaching assistant from the University for the Field, and I'm also a disabled activist. So I guess I'm currently today thinking of my time as a disabled student as well as my role in academia, and thinking I cannot be charging for disabled student employment, and we'll get into that today, but before I start, I just wanted to thank Christina, Ketan, and Karen and Jen and everyone else, because this presentation has been a joint effort about it, not just by me, through the whole way through. We've been having the good things in January, so thank you so much. So today, the objective to do, we're going to break down the body issues around ableism in the workplace number to begin with, and kind of set the scene for this, and what our experience did, and how these experiences may be going to life. And then we're going to think about access needs, negotiation, and the different levels of adjustment, particularly in relation to workplace employment and how they differ because they are different experiences. We're going to talk about a new concept today, named positive disorder. But while we do have to get something tangible from there, and tangible action point that you can go away and implement into your practice. And then to top it all off, make it more tangible, Jan had created an amazing video with taking daughters to YouTube to the dungeon and hopefully we do guidance on that video. I am gonna do right now the beat bubble at the start. We'll just keep on going and going and going. So you do me pause for a while because I'm wanting to make sure my beat bubble goes off. So what's the current climate? The Christina gave me some fact there in the opening, but 29.4% of new AT learners that have started on the AT course this year have actually got that they got disability or mental health condition with 10%, sorry, 10% are in a specific or need disability and 8% are in a mental health condition, and obviously they keep on going and going and more people are disclosing. Therefore, more people are disclosing, we need to do something about it. And the fact that both from HCPC 21 they did looking at their EDI data, 11% of the 7,320 NT that wrote that data reported that they had a disability report, so they keep on going and going and going. And this is why we need to get there. We need to think about disability from a different perspective. Yeah, we're going to talk about individual mental. Yeah, we are. I'm not saying that we got them right down to a T, but it's more than just about providing individual adjustment, and we're going to talk about that today. Principle 3 of the AAP practice for principle state that there must be an inclusive environment and welcoming for all, and I have to say that I really value this principle because I think it's key, and the debate is going to be key throughout the discussion today. We hear the very welcoming environment a lot, but it's often something that we think is easier than it is. And it can make it hard to do. For example, imagine that you didn't with a there and you walk into play birthday, you're not met anyone. Are you person that could be lovely and welcoming, but the reality is, unless someone goes out of the way, I guess, you probably not going to be a control to say, oh my god, I'll be lecturing and this today. Like, it's a very daunting situation to disclose that to you and put yourself in that position. But we are going to have some conversation today around how we can facilitate this. Collaborating with learning placement in the university is done during the third day, and this collaboration and the dynamic can massively help a student in terms of when it comes to the voting or not. But before we think about that, we need to just rewind that and think about the challenges of ableism in general. So what is the current between ableism in practice? So currently, we still are getting attitude towards abilities of what it needed to be needed to be an AT. You need to be able to use the high, you need to be able to get up off the floor, you need to be able to be able to act in a child environment. We still have these able to do when we come to play, and though that I guess thinking about that put the student on a disadvantage back when the dark because they were already thinking, okay, for these next weeks, I need to do something that that I really struggled to do. Um, but then thinking about avoiding in practice in general, then I'd imagine looking about. For example, if it's not accessible in the workplace, then is someone going to go for that job? What about conference training event? Is it online? Is it virtual? The COVID pandemic, how I did so much when it came to that, and there are a lot of challenges that people face in the work environment daily, like a part-time role, expectation to achieve a full-time job, um, or do what person doing full-time and a part-time job. They can also mean reduction in leadership opportunities as well, because they disabled people are not kind of poor to make them high leadership opportunities, and then they lead on to worry that to get why they did a big aspect of today I wanted to start with the all and up, and then we disabled people either don't get the leadership opportunity because of everyone barriers, or but they've had enough and they don't want to do the kind of work anymore. So then we never get put to be into the road, and the I'll tell you now what the thing that I'm gonna do with you today is not rocket science. You're nothing or come to the end of it and think that they're simple, but because it's not something that's talked about, you do become something that you're kind of put under the carpet. Then on that we got reasonable adjustment. The bad reasonable adjustment is really hard. You didn't often let me not get reasonable adjustment. People doing employment too. Doing work obviously bad adjustment. At the work not being honoured. The many lads situating, and I'm not gonna go into this today because that could be the whole session. But there's a lot of extra fighting that we have to do with disabled people, and essentially that takes a lot of our energy as well. But we are getting none of information. We all know that under the Equality Act of 2010 that employees have a duty to provide their individual when a disabled person back there it is prevented to non-disabled person back there. And I really need to think about that today. Again, while we're reading the adjustment, I'm not gonna leave you all this with it. These are the way they made them for the reading adjustment that may be provided in back there. For example, if about who we do they need to demonstrate moving and handling. They may get value by directing someone else to do it if they can't physically do it. Support for written documentation, do they need alternate materials in alternative formats, braille for print, electronic materials. I mean, without thinking about my verify, and the note with your hammer in the daily that I was in, and I'm not being close by that one. It wasn't many years ago. But we got over this by me typing out the note because I can't have that, and then physically digging it into someone's notes. But the way to do it, do you need a flexible placement and just jot down any finish time there, have any do anything on the thinking about physical activity called wheelchair or pedal seating, and your go ahead to move into there, and I'm sure that you know that there's a million more out there than only that today, but just to get us thinking. But now we're going to rewind, because before we think about reading the radio, we need to think about how one described it in order to get the renewable document in verify. I've had a lot of education. Rather, I mean, well, how can you support a student if you don't disclose? But that's a very wordy question, and we're going to unpick that in the presentation today. So again, nothing new here. Of course, we want students to disclose. It enables renewable document to put into play. It means that if the student has a renewable document, that they're in a better position to demonstrate their competencies, because they don't treat that competency, then they have a renewable document to help them treat their competency. It encourages a better partnership between the student and the practice educator. The understanding the student disability and how to work. I've had students before, but with me, and we can just look, what you learn, Dale. My learning style is there. We found out how we both work, then we know how we can work together. And it doesn't have that partnership. And then you have a creative awareness of renewable document. You can then not only benefit that student, but also benefit you in your mum, because you think, oh, it can be scary. You never had a student with that required renewable document before, but once you do, then you'll be like, you know what, we figured that out together. It actually was okay. So many people can benefit from this all around, thinking about the bigger picture. If you do the disclosure before they go on placement, it also may decrease their stress before placement, because sometimes it can be like, I don't know how they're going to react to that, but if they've had that positive conversation, then it decreases the stress. And encouraging good communication between the student, the university provider, and and the placement provider. And like I say, it's a collaboration between these three parties, and one is that the student goes before the placement on the best week, and you have 30, not 30, I'm going off now. If you had 4-week placement or an 8-week placement even, then that is going to be some great competition in order to get that adjustment. However, sometimes students do have a drop placement, and that is okay, that you may not be able to provide all of the adjustment, and we are going to unpick that later on about. But we see all this. Well, I just said on the previous slide, we promote the to destroy them to students. But are we actually saying to students, I understand why you're not disclosing. I understand that there's a million reasons why that you just walked in here on day one. I'm a complete stranger to you, and I understand that you don't want to disclose to me. Because who would want to disclose something that's quite personal and potentially quite traumatic to a stranger? and there's a lot of reasons why I didn't mean it first. We've been judged. I just said, I don't know how they're gonna react. What if they've had, again, the bottom one, a previous negative experience decoding about disability in the past, therefore reducing ability in internalized, and then they get this being judged, or they just think, well, I had a worried experience last time, I don't want to put myself through that again, and who could blame them? We all want to protect ourselves, don't we? Period not be worried. We behave it in individual to the road, individual. Again, if they're not being worried in the past, then why would I dare this? Because nobody gonna worry me. And then these two, I think, are one of the biggest reasons. They may not feel that they need to disclose. They may never had a boyfriend before. They don't know what they need to disclose and what they don't need to disclose. They may not even, you can't be nowadays. You can't predict every time that comes up without knowledge in that environment. Thinking about when we do the taking to do that way, we actually frame it in the sense of the PM model, thinking about actually if you lived an occupational appointment before and now being in that appointment environment, then how do you know what your needs are in that environment? They're probably not doing that good because we can't predict what they need. And I was quite open with my education, and I often had a pre-book meeting and met and was doing any bio today, but I never worked in the environment before. I don't know what's gonna come up. It's gonna have to be across that bridge when we get to it situation because I can't prepare for a challenge that I don't know. And I think with that we could know what opportunity to get it right. But actually, when you're employed, it might take you 6 months, a year into a new job to get it right. The reality is that you're not going to get it right on that day 5 months. And I know that you will feel that pattern. I understand that for months, reflecting on my student experience in myself. But actually, it's about saying, we're not gonna get this right. We'll figure out what we can in the day we together. So reflecting how actually student challenges that student made on punishment did not be recognised. Learners, sorry. And the joint project that institutional barriers and institutional barriers from punishment education themselves make this hard. If you, if we were, don't have medical situation come along, and I'm not comparing a person situation to medical situation, but if they know that they're gonna disclose, but then nothing may get the up for a few weeks because appointment under dress, then why are they gonna put them down for all that potential trauma wording if they think, well, nothing gonna get up anyway? We have to contain the perspectives because you can do something and even if you don't manage to do a adjustment, it's the punishment and it's the learning experience. But we also have to understand that this is a very perspective from students. And positivity go to them, we've been building up to them, and then we are today this. content developed by my dad and my colleague Samantha Davender, who I don't think is here tonight, but I can't take the full credit for the content. So positivity could is about creating a day, culture and environment whereby students are empowered to do growth and to discover their disability in a positive way, making it transparent. Well, you know what, my disability doesn't mean that I have limitation in communicating because I'm big impairment. But actually, when I was on a children occupational therapy placement, I've been there and done that myself. I had amazing therapeutic as well. What does that disability bring to the placement as well? We need to think about that. It's very crucial that we know what's going on beforehand to help we do the differential attainment gap for disabled learners, and I want to work there to actively address these learning needs and create the safe environment where learners feel comfortable enough to discuss what's going on. But thinking about this is not a tip about that died. It's a cooperative approach between student to coordinate if applicable, PLI, everyone that needs to be involved, and it's a project that happens over time. Like I say, you're not going to know what you need to implement in day one. It might take you a week though to figure that out. The project that happen all the time anymore beyond the supervision agenda. So what they look like. So the cooperative approach needs opportunity to negotiate with personal duty to the table and educated in the whole approach, and it's an opportunity for students didn't go multiple times when something come up. Asking them and vision, we put the reasonable adjustment in this week. How did that go? Either they and if they do not create from the door, then it creates barrier for awareness, and then they get real comfortable to discuss, and then if they've had multiple experiences like that, they may not disclose on the replacement as well. So like I said, the is a team approach and manage to be supported to work on the drums. Well, it's everyone is involved in there, and everyone can learn from there. And if we like to not only principal 5 here that are put on the side, but also principal teachers that HCPC standards for practice when it being matters. It involves being valued and respected. So please do share in the chat today any good experiences that you've had. What have you done as a development educator or as a student that really helped you enhance that relationship with real well? The higher education have an opportunity to go learning more discover their disability before they can get any accommodation. So from a higher education perspective, we need to be facilitating positive culture and playing for positive culture in order for disability to then go for disability services and get the needs met and the result that they're entitled to. Yeah, the teacher also said that the many reasons why students let this grow that even is also compounded by intersecting identity as well. So we need to think about how they impact the culture in the bigger picture. And therefore we had the responsibility to create an inclusive environment and actively promote positive disclosure. Yeah, and down like a book, oh my god. But I really don't think it can be said enough. So conversation starter, what does it look like? I had these help today. So what could we do on placement educated to support you on placement? Again, framing it in that positive way. Are there any reasonable adjustments that we can explore? What if you had in your previous placement? Could we, what, I know to understand it again that this is a process, and we may not get it right the first time, we can get it good in it. And you know what? If you don't get it right, I do think that design it gone well. Because I did, yeah, it was training to do and of course you want it to go well. But we also understand that we're only there for a short amount of time, student, and it's probably not gonna, you're probably not gonna get it right in that job, but it's to actually, the more times you're going back to the drawing board, they're probably better than they did to allow the student to say, oh, actually, that's not working. Can we try something else? The placement support bands. The placement support band will be made at the beginning of the call, so you can have access to them. And Charlie, if you get educated, but it needs to be again student led. I had one in uni, kind of what it was that in June, and then I went to my taking boyfriend, and they was like, you do know that you can just amend your boyfriend support band. And I was like, really? So then I did. And then I had to follow whatever when I being disaster. I collected all information and I regularly updated the report when I reviewed it. And not only that, it can also be taken on the learning beauty career. If you build up that report, then you can do, you can use it and get a job. I use my personal support band at Occupational Health when I got my first job, and honestly, I flew with Occupational Health because it was all different in them. So when they put me up, they didn't really have many guys to involve me because it was quite cool for them. They were really able to. But thinking about employment then, what is the difference between employment and employment? Because there's a lot of differences. And the department, I talk about positive disclosure. I'm not talking predominantly employment, but I think it's more crucial to get it right the first time, if that makes sense. Because you got the pressure of being graded. You don't have a time to figure out your needs. So you're more pressure to figure it out with your dad. When you're in employment, you have more control over where you work and what you want to do. You don't have employment. Um, you have access to everything that you need and access to it. You have a lot more tools out there and a lot more control than you do on board. Um, and at the day, they need to practice so much find it hard and the way you do it bad that you do keep looking at that one with the support plan. However, while we're on this topic, I will say that I do feel talk about access to work. There is an increasing waiting time and it encouraging a real big mental drain. And I do understand that people being nice, people just don't have the energy to cope with that. But ability get are here we are. We can't do anything about it, but we are here to be to vent and just to say that we understand. So yeah, just me understand it because I know it's a challenging time at the minute. So what working more than on placement when it comes to disclosure and support needs. So these are the students that contacted me for ability again. And then there's things like the good thing you need with the placement team and linking it in to the day incident everything there. Think about every door that you have, all the needs that you kind of collected over time. Can you put them into a placement plan and beat your placement? Having a different statement on how you disability about your day, you're not constantly thinking of ways that you need to say that. However, disability changes and that's fine. Because what you may bring you need on day one appointment may be very different to what you actually need on day 10 appointment. And that's fine because disability fluctuates. Back to a working environment, it goes a day how you to find the best way to support yourself and it's a very flexible approach between you and your educator. So it's not going to work all the time. You need that flexibility. Don't be afraid to get out of requirements and be your own advocate. Hard to about that, but and have awareness to know your own condition to not be afraid to advocate for yourself because you know yourself better than anyone else. So moving away from appointment, HCPC and disclosure. So again, more OT graduates in 23-24 graduated disclosed to HCPC with 32% declining disability. So I've been doing some background work with the HCPC around disclosure when it comes to registering and re-registering and fitting into practice. We have had a lot of conversation about what it is disclosure. Unfortunately, due to HDPD infrastructure, it is very hard for them to facilitate this. However, they have made note to this on their website now that the new black page that got released on Monday. So I do advise that you have a lot of that you check that out and it's a lot clearer around what needs to be disclosed and what doesn't need to be disclosed. You can manage your disability individual and you don't need to disclose. It being that doing opportunity to it with HCPC and while everything is not perfect and probably won't be for a while, we've been having some really good insightful back and forth emails, good chats about this and hopefully things are going to change. Toxic reverse doctor. You can connect in the group. If you're thinking about working in an area and you know the disability for everyone to working in that area, then reach out to them. Get all the support you can get. Don't forget about your personal adjustment when it comes to occupational health. Again, sounding like a broken record, but you get where I'm coming from. Don't be afraid to say what working and what not working and ask for help you need to. It's important that this is checked in. Go through the interview process. Do you need any extra time? Walk yourself through it. Takeaway points. Positive disclosure is a process, not a take-back exercise. Disability not linear. An adjustment that you are on day one might be very different to the adjustment that you are on day 30, and that is absolutely fine. go away and embody the order that Jenny created, and practice positive disclosure. Use the conversation order. I hope I haven't looked at the chat or anything, but I hope you've shared that good practice within the chat and reflected on that. Remember the kids not get it right today. They can say about 10 times. It is a progress. But the more you do it, the more confident you become. And like today, no student is gonna come away from a place thinking I had a video and I needed on that point. Because that is probably impossible to do in an 8-week placement. But it's about working hard in there. Okay, we're not gonna get this perfect, but this is what we can do. So I don't know if you want to take a screenshot now and do this later. Stop and think about what you've learned in this presentation. Is the poser reflective vibe that came from my book. What are your main takeaway points? What are your main questions? What resonated with you? I know I did. What about your learning? What did you learn from this? Delusion, what actually do you want to play and what are your plans? What are your goals? And these are my recommendations. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you found that useful. Yeah, and then I will be joined by the panel now for the panel.
Brilliant.
I
Thank
don't
you, Georgia.